Welcome back to Lost in Translation. My name is Nico, and this week we are looking at the Torah portion by Era, and we will cover the 10 points that you will miss if you only read the portion in English. So let's get started right away. Um, Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Now, this is actually at the very end of last week's portion, okay? And this often happens that the Torah portion, you know, doesn't necessarily start at the beginning of the chapter. This first part of the chapter, um, right here, is at the very end of last week's portion, okay? And here we just had Moshe Rabbeinu complaining to Hashem that things have gotten worse for the Hebrews, and that he didn't save his people, right? And here's where Hashem is saying, yes, things have gotten bad, but now you will see what I will do. And this shows us how the Jewish people weren't ready to leave Egypt. It needed to get worse for them. They needed to, Hashem is helping grow the desire within the Hebrews to exit from Mitzrayim. Because as bad as slavery is to Pharaoh, they have this comfort zone. They have an existence. They even complain about it later in the wilderness, how good Egypt was, right? So there's there's this attachment that even the Hebrews have to to Egypt, and the bad things that Pharaoh does to the Jews, to the Hebrews, is to help them want to leave. This and the plagues that are coming, they're to help not only to subjugate, to suppress the authority of Pharaoh, but also to build that desire within the nation of Israel to want to leave Egypt. Okay, number two. God spoke and he says, I am Hashem. So now we're getting right to the very beginning of this week's portion, right? וידבר אלוהים אל משה ויאמר עליו אני Hashem, right? So we're seeing here that there is in no uncertain terms that Elohim is Hashem, that they are not two different gods, that they're not two, they are the same, they're one, they are unified. And this is something that this is a revelation that's being placed upon Moshe in a way that none of the forefathers before perceived it. And that's what we see in the very next verse when he says that I appeared va'era, right? The name of this portion, Vayera, I appeared El Abraham, El Yitzhak, El Yaakov, El Shaddai. I was this God of sufficiency. I provided for them everything that they needed, right? V'shmi Hashem lo nodati lehem. I didn't let them know me through this supreme name, this name Hashem, which Moshe, again, like we spoke about last week, he is connected to this through his own name, right? Being the opposite spelling, the opposite reading of the word, the name Hashem. Shortness of breath. Okay, so Moshe has been told to go and tell the nation of Israel that they are going to be led out of Egypt, and we're seeing that Moses spoke thus to the children of Israel, but they did not hearken to Moses because of their shortness of breath and because of their hard labor. And it's interesting here, shortness of breath is being translated from mikotzer ruach. Now, ruach is one in Hebrew. Spirituality is such an important. I mean, Hebrew is the language of spirituality. This is why there's 5 words for the soul or for different levels of soul, and ruach is one of these words for soul. It's it's the one that's just above nefesh. Nefesh is the concept of soul that ties spirituality with physicality, right? It's the concept of nefesh is also connected to our blood. Ruach is that connecting, that part of the soul that wants to connect to the upper force. And here we're seeing that the nation of Israel, they 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 were restricted. Mitzar, Mitzrayim, it's the same word again here. Mitzrayim with the mem uh, tzadik resh. I mean, this shortness of their breath, existing in Egypt, um, limited their capacity for connection to Yesharkel, to Israel, and that's why they couldn't hear Moses, because their quality was separated from Moses's quality. Okay, number 4. Letodotam. Okay, so here we are. Moses and Aaron, they're going before Pharaoh, and just before this happens, the Torah breaks it down for us again and really lets us know exactly who is this Moshe and who is this Aaron, who are these 2 people, and where are they coming from, and they give us a rundown again from uh, from the heads of the fathers' houses, right? We hear about Reuben and Simon and now Levi and all the Levite families, and we come right, and here they tell us, and these are the names of Levi's sons after their generations. Toldotam can be also kind of like a after, in order of their birth, right? Can be another way of translating it. But what's more important is that we have this word toldot again, right? It's bringing us, it's focusing on even this holographic system of focusing ever tighter and ever tighter and ever tighter on the exact point of connection to the Creator through each generation. And now we have, through Levi, this tightening down to exactly these are the Moshe and Aaron, who through their connection to Hashem were qualified to come unto Pharaoh and to address him and command him to let the children of Israel go. All right, number 5, back to that qualification to appear before Pharaoh, to come to Pharaoh and command him to let them go. Well, we come to number 5. I have made you master over Pharaoh. Right? So here we have a slightly different translation. They're saying, the Lord said to Moses, "See, I have made you Lord over Pharaoh, and Aaron, your brother, will be your speaker." And this, again, this kind of translation uh, in the art scroll, it says master, which is a little bit better because it doesn't get confused with the uppercase Lord, which is a translation of Hashem, the four-letter name. But here, if we look over, and so this confusion obscures the original Hebrew word, which is Vayomer Hashem Moshe Owe Netaticha Elohim LePharaoh. You're his upper one, right? Okay, Elohim can be a judge, it can be a master, as well as it can be a God. But the connection to this idea of the upper one being our concept of God, right? So Pharaoh, he is the Malchut, he is the king of the kingdom of limitation of Mitzrayim, and Moshe Hashem is made to be his upper one, right? And this qualifies Hashem to be that representative, to go unto him and to tell him to let Israel go. Okay, number 6. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and Egypt shall know. Okay, you're going to tell him what's going to happen. But I will harden Pharaoh's heart. V'ani ekshe et lev. Lev is, our heart is kind of connected to our desires, right? I'm going to harden his, he's going to be stuck to his desire, this pera, this evil mouth, right? He's going to be stuck to his desire to master, to be master over everything. And through his connection to these desires, all these bad things, all my signs and wonders are going to come to the land of Egypt, and my people, the children of Israel, will be brought out with great judgments, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord. Why? Why is it important that the Egyptians need to know that Hashem is the Lord? Well, he's demonstrating that this baseness, this egotistical desire to control spirituality doesn't work. It has to be crushed. And we're going to see here shortly how this works back into the system of creation that we've talked about before. Okay, number 7. Staffs and snakes. Okay, so the first sign that Moshe and Aaron give to Pharaoh about why he should believe them is, Aaron throws the staff on the ground and it becomes a snake, right? This is a demonstration that they have power over this egoism. The symbol of the snake is the ego, right? The nachash. And Pharaoh says, "Hey, we have power over the ego too." Right? His sorcerers, his necromancers, they throw down their staffs. But what's interesting here is the narrative tells us that Aaron's staff swallows their staffs, not Aaron's snake swallows their snake. The snake, when it's a staff, it's a tool to be used for advancement, for moving forward. And so his staff, his tool, assumes the power of their use of the ego, right? That it assumes their egoism and it assumes power over their use of egoism, so that so another further demonstration that that Aaron and Moshe are established as the upper one above Pharaoh's use of the ego, because the ego, the Nachash, is not meant to be is not meant to be enjoyed for its own sake. It is the fundamental tool to bring us back to connection with Hashem. Number 8, the 10 plagues. Okay, in this particular portion, we get the first 7, which is also significant. But the 10 plagues, again, this number 10 brings us back to the 10 Sepharot, the system of creation where level by level the soul is removed from its creator through concealments, and all the way down to the level of limitation to Mitzrayim, where it has no sensation of the creator whatsoever. And the plagues come to purify this egoism level by level. Let's take a look at number 9 on my list. First plague, water into blood. Moshe and Aaron, they go out to the water, they meet Pharaoh, and he says, because you haven't let the nation of Israel go, behold, I will smite with the staff that is in my hand upon the water in the Nile, and it will turn to blood. He's letting him know this is what will happen. And then he does it. So this way the Pharaoh can't pretend that he didn't mean for that to happen. It was an accident, right? But no, this is exactly, he lets him know. And right, that this Hamaim Asher Bior bin Nefcho Ledam. Now this dam, which reminds us of Adam, which is, it's important. It's a connection there, that back to Adama, right? This, that it's dome, right? That he's changing the water to be similar, dome, similar to what? Similar to the creator, right? So he's demonstrating that this source of life for all of Egypt can be transformed not for egotistical purposes, but for the purpose of being connected to Hashem. And because Pharaoh doesn't want that connection, it feels like death to him. It feels like a plague, a punishment to him. Okay? And this is when Pharaoh asks his sorcerers if they can do the same thing. And they can. They can change water. They can change water into blood, because he's master of egoism. He can, yeah, look, I can do this too. This first level, this bottom level of the of spiritual desire, I can control that. I can egotistically attach to the desire to be connected to Hashem. My guys can make the water into blood. And so he's, again, just like they were able to demonstrate mastery over the ego, they're demonstrating that they have this capacity for spiritual connection as well. That's why the sorcerers of Egypt could transform the water into blood as well. But this gets us to point number 10, because their power only goes so far, right? Point number 10, it is the finger of God. So there have been, this is the third plague now. There's been the blood that the sorcerers can mimic. There's a second plague of frogs that again the sorcerers are able to mimic this. You know that Egypt has power over the ego through the staffs into snake. They can it can attach to the desire to be similar to God, because Pharaoh wants to be God. He wants to have control over everything, so this makes sense to him. There's this next plague of frogs that the necromancers they can do something about. They can mimic this as well, and but despite their power to bring frogs forth from the water, Pharaoh still has to ask Moshe for help to remove the frogs, because the frogs are a big problem. They're getting everywhere. They're even entering the bodies of the Egyptians. It's a big deal. This gets us to the third plague, and this is where again mastery is demonstrated, right? The third plague, that lice are brought forth from the dust, and the lice were everywhere on man and beast. And the necromancers did likewise with their secret rites to bring out the lice, but they could not, and the lice were upon man and beast. So the necromancers said to Pharaoh, "It is the finger of God." But Pharaoh's heart remained steadfast, right? That vaimovu ha-chaltumim el paro etzba Elohim, right? So we don't know if they're talking about God, or if they're talking about, maybe they're talking about Moshe, and it doesn't matter, because from their perspective from below, whoever the immediate upper one is, this is like God. Okay, so here they are. The powers of the egoism have given in to the mastery of the upper one, but Pharaoh's heart remains steadfast and remains hardened. He doesn't want to let the people go. And through the rest of this parashah, we have a total, the rest of this portion, we have a total of 7 plagues, right? 7 days of the week. And we purify these first 7 levels of concealment, of desire, bringing the Hebrew people and the Egyptians themselves to the point where they finally desired the exodus of Yashar Kel from Mitzrayim, and what that necessitates. If Yashar Kel exits Mitzrayim, they are by necessity heading back to connection with Hashem. And that's why this whole system of plagues is developed. We're brought down into Egypt through the mastery over Egypt by Joseph, and now the mastery of Moshe over Egypt is what pushes us back out to connection with Hashem. So thank you for watching. I hope this was interesting and helpful. Please share your observations with me as well. Like, subscribe, comment, and until next time, be well.